Chương trình chia sẻ ngày hôm nay thì liên quan đến một cái đề tài rất là hấp dẫn, đó là dùng chiến lược Merge and Acquisition hay gọi là M&A, hợp nhất và thâu tóm, để mở rộng kinh doanh tại Mỹ. Thì bọn anh xin trân trọng giới thiệu diễn giả ngày hôm nay là anh TRON Phạm, là CEO của công ty Mega Acquisition, có trụ sở chính ở Georgia. Hành trình phát triển sự nghiệp từ một chuyên gia kinh doanh bất động sản đến một nhà đầu tư và tư vấn về M&A trong suốt hành trình 10 năm, chắc chắn là những trải nghiệm và kinh nghiệm thực tiễn rất là quý báu. Để hôm nay anh Tron sẽ chia sẻ với chúng ta về đề tài này và giúp cho chúng ta hiểu được những lợi ích về và cái kinh nghiệm quản trị được cái rủi ro có thể có khi dùng chiến lược M&A. Xin mời anh Tron bắt đầu phần chia sẻ của anh nha. Xin cảm ơn ạ.
Dạ, xin chào mấy anh chị, tên em là TRON PHAM từ Atlanta, Georgia. Chị Linh Nguyễn có mời em tới đây nói về cái tựa đề Grow with Acquisition. And I just want to apologize ahead that I am limited in Vietnamese, so I'm going to be presenting in English. Hope that's all right.
Yeah, you're good. We understand all.
Absolutely. So I have prepared a presentation for us. Hopefully, it's not going to be too boring. So with that being said, thank you so much for the warm introduction there, and Bảo.
You're welcome. Yes, let's go ahead.
So if you don't, I'm going to be sharing my screen here. Okay, so as mentioned, my name is Tron Pham out of Atlanta, Georgia, and today I want to share an idea with you to how to grow your business with acquisitions. So who the heck am I? I'm an investor and also a business advisor, and my entrepreneurial journey started as a real estate investor in 2014, and I transitioned over, I'm sorry, as a real estate agent in 2014 and transitioned to real estate investor in 2016, and I went on and bought over 110 houses. And at the end of 2021, I discovered mergers and acquisition that we can essentially buy a business very similar to how we can buy a piece of real estate. So in 2022, I did my first M&A deal, and I went on to pretty much explore what else was out there outside of real estate, since that's all I ever knew in my entrepreneurial journey. So I explore in alternative asset investing, M&A, and private equity. I dived into digital businesses and also the brick and mortar. And in current day, I'm searching for acquisition in home services such as your HVAC companies, electrical, landscaping, and roofing, among a few other particular industries. So I have two goals today for the members and the guests here. And goal number one is just to share the idea of how to grow your business or expand your business with mergers and acquisitions, and also to share with you some of the lessons and the resources that I have learned along the way and what worked for me. So before we jump right on in, can we get a show of hands? Who in here have bought a company in the past? All right. Sounds good. So, growing your company with acquisition is a operates instead of relying on organic growth, such as marketing, sales, increasing your products and services. So, and when should a company be considering to grow with acquisition? Is whenever they have the foundation for growth, when their organic growth slows, strategic opportunity arises, needing competitive advantages, having strong cash flow or financing options available, or increasing their valuation through valuation arbitrage, which is my favorite in number 6. And some of the key benefits of M&A is your speed. You get instant access to new markets, customers, and revenue streams versus having to start from scratch. And it is cost effective, where you're going to be getting faster return on investment compared to startups. And you get synergies to cross-sell opportunities, economies of scale, and also reduce competition. You get lower risk of failure by buying resilient businesses. And of course, valuation arbitrage is when two smaller companies with a lower valuation multiple merges with a larger company, merge with another company where they will become a larger company and their valuation will grow by default. So here we're going to take a look at the valuation arbitrage example. So as a pre-merger valuation, company A, let's say they have $1 million in profit and the market will demand a 3 times the multiple, which make them a $3 million valuation. Company B is identical. So together they both of their values at $6 million. And now let's say both of those companies merged together to get a $2 million combined profit, and they will command an automatic 5 times multiples instead of the 3 times. So simple math, 2 million times 5 equals a $10 million valuation by simply combining the two companies together. And as a result, you get a $4 million that is created by just combining them. Isn't that cool? So a few M&A examples that hopefully that you all have either heard of it or have used them before is Google acquired YouTube for $1.65 billion back in 2006 to enter new markets and staying ahead of the multimedia content trend. And currently today, they're worth over the $400 billion estimated. Amazon acquired Whole Foods back in 2017 and for $13.7 billion to expand their brick and mortar retail, grow their Prime membership, and also acquire consumer shopping data. Now they're part of a 1.5 plus trillion dollar company. And last but not least, Apple acquired Beats Electronics for $3 billion back in 2014 and to expand its audio products lineup, reaching younger demographics and also their audio innovation and streaming technology. And today they're part of a company worth over $3.6 trillion, which is Apple. So those are a very noticeable name there. And why does this work for small to medium-sized businesses? Number one is you get a size premium where two companies, when they are larger, they attract higher valuation from investors and buyers. You can reduce your risk by having a more diversified business is seen as more stable. And market positioning, you get a stronger brand equity, customer reach, and operational efficiency. Financial engineering by improving your profit margin and justifying a higher multiple. So let's kind of shift gear here. Those are some examples, and here are some ideas. Hopefully this can, as I'm going through the acquire. So for this example, we have a marketing agency. And a marketing agency, as with most businesses, they're going to need leads, and you can do paid ads or you can buy traffic assets such as LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, blogs, SEO websites, email lists, newsletters, magazines, podcasts, and YouTube channels. And of course, there are other assets out there as well. And let's say this agency, they have tapped out of their human resources and they want to buy additional teams to increase that capacity. They can buy lead generation teams, sales teams, operation team, and HR and staffing companies. And also complementary products and services to increase your average order value. As a marketing agency, they would go out and acquire AI automation agencies, graphic design, email marketing, social media marketing agencies, content creation, and influencer marketing agencies. And one of the highest value driver of a company is their recurring revenue. If you want to increase your monthly recurring revenue here, this agency can increase that by adding membership, softwares, and maintenance services such as SEO, website, paid ads, or social media management, communities, and masterminds. The services, suppliers, and distributors. This agency can go out and buy additional sales agencies, consulting firms, digital transformation, public relations, and also business process outsourcing services. And intellectual properties, e-learning, courses, software, processes, technology, and API. And last but not least, if they want to go horizontal on their M&A, they can go out and acquire their competition or their competitors to increase their market shares. So I'm going to pause right here. Based on what I've shared so far, do we have any questions before we move on?
We can move on and we can ask a question at one time.
Perfect. So that is what to buy, and then how are you going to find the deals? And here are the 30 deal sourcing strategies that has worked for me and some that doesn't work for me, but they all work. It's just a matter of being focused. So first, we're going to be focusing on the warm network, family and friends, phone contacts, business contacts, email contacts, customers, employees, attorneys, and accountants are a great source. LinkedIn connections has worked very well for me since I'm active on there. Facebook friends, suppliers and distributors, and also people you have done business with. Networking. Masterminds. Someone has told me before that you can either earn your way into a room by working your way up, or you can buy your way into the room by just paying for the mastermind membership. And that's what I have invested in quite a fair bit in the recent past. Industry events, Chamber of Commerce, trade association, professional organizations like VBI Global, right? You can network with your competitors, contractors and vendors, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, Instagram followers, places of worship, and brokers and M&A advisors. And my favorite out of all is cold outreach. So some of the channels that worked for me was cold LinkedIn DMs, and the software that I use is Expandy.io. Cold Facebook DMs, cold emails. The software that I use that worked very well is Instantly.ai. Cold call, direct mail is really good for targeting business owners that are a little bit older and they're less tech savvy, and doing the old school door to door. Door to door is phenomenal. And you're probably wondering where do we get this list to do these outreaches? For me, I like to use Apollo.io. It's very economical and their data is very good compared to some of the higher tier data providers. Reference USA, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, uh, Fiverr.com to hire freelancers to build a curated list for you, and also buying your list through list brokers. So these are some of the strategies that's worked for me. And then once I find the deal, here are how to fund the deals using funding the deal with $0 out of pocket. And there are two categories of funding a deal. You can go the traditional way by doing the SBA loan, and typically they do a 10% down and then they'll fund the 90%, which is the traditional way. And then for me, I like category two. I like the creative financing strategies, or in our world, we call it the capital stacking. And within the creative financing, there are pre-closing and post-closing strategies. And the pre-closing strategy would be owner financing, deferred down payment, integrated equity, co-investors, outside investors, carve-outs. Pretty much carve-out is when a business have an asset that you don't think that you need to run it successfully. You can just carve that out of the deal that will reduce your purchase price and the earnout. And the post-closing strategies, some of the ways that you can do that by revenue-based financing, account receivable loans. They can loan between 50 to 80% of your account receivables. You can liquidate furniture, fixtures, and equipment to take that capital and then repay back the loan that you owe to the owner. Supplier loans, inventory financing, and mezzanine financing. And then I will be more than happy to answer any questions later if you have on any of these strategies. Okay, so with that being said, I would like to share with you a capital stacking example. Let's just say if you're going out to buy a business that is worth $1 million purchase price, and your goal is to come to closing with $0 out of pocket. And between the $1 million and zero is what we call the gap. So how we're going to stack these capital is where will we find this money? First is seller financing is a big part of my strategy. And the lowest I will go is around 25 to 30% seller financing. And the earnout is when the seller earn out this percentage over time and based on the business performance and that it will stabilize or grow as the seller kind of projected. So this case, we do a 20% earnout and 20% account receivable financing and also 30% integrated equity. This I touched on earlier is when employees of the company that want to buy into the company, we can take that money to fund the deal. Okay, next we will look at the M&A deal team and why they are critical to your success. For me personally, since I don't have a ton of experience in leading acquisition in a particular industry like HVAC or roofing or landscaping, I use leverage. I leverage other people's experience and expertise. Currently, I have several lead sponsors or lead acquirers that I work with, and we have a collaboration partnership. And an industry expert is somebody who have a 10, 20, 30 plus years in an industry, but they don't have the entrepreneurial skill set in order for them to lead this acquisition. They essentially will be very good operators of the business where they can know the ins and outs of everything. Brokers, M&A advisors, and investment bankers are not required, but definitely recommended if this might be your first, second, or third business transaction. They will be a valuable resource. In addition, you can work with consultants and advisors as well. So just as real estate or anything, before you go out and acquire anything, you have to line up your capital sources. And there are non-bank sources such as your private equity groups, your family offices, and then there are the banks such as the SBA banks, commercial banks, or private investors in this case. M&A attorneys, they will help you with your legal due diligence and also do your contracts as well. And last but not least, M&A specific accountants that can help you do your financial due diligence to make sure that the business is safe and sound. Okay, so those are the sunshines and rainbows, and let's talk about some of the top risks of M&A, and here are the top 5. Number 1 is overpaying. Make sure you conduct your thorough financial due diligence, valuation, and comparable sales. Culture clash, and company and team alignments with clear communications and strategies. Losing customers and key employees. To mitigate this, you can incentivize the employees and then having strong customer relations with your current and future customers. Integration issues. Make sure you plan accordingly to integrate carefully, having the right resource allocations and workflow alignments. And last but not least, uncovered liabilities, comprehensive due diligence in the financial, legal, and compliance checks with your attorneys to make sure that this thing is nice and crisp. Okay, the rewards of M&A, you get accelerated growth, synergies and cost savings, market expansions and diversification, access to new technologies and expertise, and my favorite of all is valuation arbitrage. So this will lead up to the Q&A session. And also, if anyone would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I have a link or a QR code here. And if anyone wants to connect and discuss your strategy or your business or just have a conversation, I would be happy to have that discussion. Just scan the QR code at the bottom right. So thank you so much.
Dạ, xin cảm ơn anh John. Các anh chị có câu hỏi gì thì mình raise up hand ha, và Tron sẽ trả lời. Thì trong khi chờ đợi mọi người đặt câu hỏi thì bọn anh có một câu hỏi cho anh Tron ha. The most crucial and challenging part of starting an M&A deal is the valuation. So how should we begin with this process? Just the quick advice.
Can you repeat that? We kind of broke off.
The more crucial and challenging part of starting an M&A deal is valuation. How should we begin with this process?
So the valuation is not that hard. There is it all depends on if it's an owner-operated company or a a professionalized company. So they call it the SDE chart, and I can show you what the SDE chart look like. So it's based on their current profit and times by the industry standard. But as a general rule of thumb, so let me do a quick search here and do a screen share. And then there are many resources that you can tap into. Bizbuysell.com is a really good source to find out how to value these companies.
Yeah, can you type the address there?
Sure, give me one moment. So this is a general rule of thumb as a buyer. People will follow this chart. When right now I talk to a lot of different business owners, and they throw out a price, and when we ask for their profit, it just doesn't match up based on this. So SDE just stands for seller's discretionary earnings, aka profit. And if a company, let's say they profiting $500,000 for the past 2 to 3 years, that they can have a multiple between 3 to 4, and their business value is worth around here. And same goes for $1 million. And
Let me add a little bit to that really quickly. Sorry. Bowen asked about valuation, and Tron did say about the you can use bizbuysell.com, which I put that in the chat. But there's also valuation company out there that you can also get them to do. There is a price for that, depending on how big the size of the business and all that. But normally about $3,000 to like $7,000 around there for them to do more evaluation. It's very formal, it's very detailed, and you can show that to the buyers so that you can get the value for your business. So just FYI.
Cảm ơn chị Liễu. Mời anh Vinh. Anh Vinh có câu hỏi. Yeah.
Yeah, my question to you, Don, is why there is a 3% 3 multiplier valuation jump to the 5 multiplier? What's the justification for those, or the escalate multiplier numbers that you just shown on the chart?
Yeah, so the valuation, they just kind of increase because the buyers and investor, let's look at the private equity groups. Certain private equity groups, they will not go anything below $3 million in profit. So when a company that grows in 2 million, 3 million, or $10 million in profit, you get less and less companies that are available for sale. So these private equity groups, they are willing to pay more, paying a higher price for a company that have a higher profit. And a higher profit company usually means that is less risk and is more stable, and they have more predictable growth. And also, when a private equity or a strategic buyer, they come in, they look at the company not for what it is, but for what it could be when it's added onto their portfolio or adding onto their larger company to create a bigger value for what they're already working on.
Thank you. Cảm ơn.
Mời chị Ánh Trần Đại. Chị Anh Mute. Chị Ánh và chị Anh Mute.
Hi, hi Troy. I know you have cái mà three multiplier. Is that apply across for all sector? Tại vì nếu mà IT hay là software company gì thì nó khác. Còn nếu như mà mình ở trong cái small business owner like Vietnamese hay là nhà hàng hay nail là khác. I might have some more question on that. Mình có hiện thời có những người mà muốn mua cái pharmaceutical drugstore đó khoảng chừng 3 tới 5 triệu đó, thì how do we find those kind of business and where to look for it?
Yeah, so as far as the multiple, that is just an industry. So my example, cái example của em hồi nãy đó là it's just something for us to look at. But to value a certain industry, we need to find out what that industry average multiple goes for. And there are other resources that you can go in to look for. If you just type in SDE or EBITDA valuation chart on Google.
Yeah, mời anh Thành ạ. Yeah.
And then based on that, you will find there are valuation chart, and then it will break down by industries for you. And then that's just preliminarily. You can look as a rule of thumb, but then if you want to really dive deeper into the valuation, giống như chị Liễu nói hồi nãy đó, you can hire a valuation company. But when you hire a valuation company, make sure that they specialize or focus in a specific industry just to get a fair valuation. But the most common way of valuing a business is through the profit, the multiples of profit.
Thank you, cảm ơn em. Chị muốn nói là không biết là em có dự định làm bên DPI member mà I think we have an investment group. I think with your information it would be very helpful. And I think we have a good team, and I'm in commercial real estate, and I have talked to a lot of business. So we will work out some way, and hopefully you become our member and help us with some consulting.
Tuyệt vời chị Ánh. Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
I would definitely consider.
Rồi, xin mời anh Thành. Chúng ta cũng run out, cũng sắp hết
Vâng.
giờ rồi. Mời
Thành
anh
Thành nói tiếng Việt cho nó nhanh. Thành có 2 câu hỏi. Một câu hỏi là không biết anh John đã làm các cái case nào mà giữa người Việt và công ty Việt và công ty Mỹ chưa, M&A chưa? Anh chia sẻ một vài cái. Thứ hai là Thành có một cái công ty Smart Home làm cũng khoảng 6 năm tại Việt Nam. Cũng muốn là nhờ cái mạng lưới của anh để mình kết nối, có thể hợp tác giữa công ty của Thành ở Việt Nam và công ty construction hoặc là builder, các cái building để làm cái smart building, smart city, smart home. Cảm ơn anh.
Dạ, cái đó thì em chỉ có làm ở trong nước Mỹ thôi anh, em chưa có làm cross border. Nhưng mà nếu mà anh muốn nói chuyện và nói chuyện thì anh có thể liên lạc em, mình có thể nói chuyện one on one. So we can discuss what your strategies are, what you want to do. Lý do tại vì em cũng quen rất là nhiều người bên đây thì I could potentially guide you and guide you in the right direction.
Dạ, cảm ơn. Thông qua chị Liễu thì nhờ kết nối dùm. Cảm ơn.
Dạ, cảm ơn Thành. Thời gian sắp hết. Đây là câu hỏi cuối cùng dành cho anh Thông. Anh Thái. Anh Thông.
Hi, John.
Mời Thông.
I had a quick question. If we plan to sell our business, what should we prepare? Because especially if like for us, like some kind of service company, we typically we try to spend our money at the end of the year for the tax purposes. So if we want to sell it, like plan for another, like in 10 years, for example, so what should we prepare?
Yeah, I mean, if you're planning for 10 years out, you have a very long time to prepare. I mean, as a buyer myself, we're looking at the financial statement, what's on the balance sheet. It needs to have low debt and higher profit margin, at least the industry standard. Definitely clean up all of your financials, lowering those debt. And then if we're looking at the company as a whole, is it stable? Does it have a good foundation in place? And is it set for growth? Your team is very important. Seniority of how long people work in there and what kind of management that you have in place. And then those are some of the key things that we're looking at. And, it's just mainly we're looking at the financials. We're looking at the commercial part of the company. which is your company as a whole, how it operates.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, nếu mà anh có 10 năm để anh tính bán 10 năm sau đó, you have a lot of time. So if you want to reach out to me, I can share with you a list of ways to prepare your business for sale, whether it's in 2 years or 10 years. I have that available.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, câu hỏi anh Thông nói là you're running into a tax liability issue at the end of the year and you're spending that money. Is that what you're telling me?
Not really. We know that we do here. I mean, like our firm is a architect firm. Sometimes we just want to reduce the tax pay at the end. We spend most of our money at the end of the year, like buy more assets or buy some pay people more or something like that. So sometimes it will be show our balance sheet at the end. Maybe it look good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. Yeah, if you're paying more than $100,000 back in tax every year, we probably need to connect.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
Alex, you gotta join.
There you go.
Yeah. Như vậy phần cảm ơn các anh chị đã đặt câu hỏi, và cái đề tài này rất là, mình nghĩ là 30 phút chắc chỉ là khơi nguồn sáng tạo và cái cảm hứng của anh chị khi nghĩ về cái chiến lược M&A. Và trong cái hội nghị sắp tới của VPI sẽ tổ chức thì sẽ chú trọng vào cái chiến lược này cho các công ty đang hoạt động tại Mỹ, cũng như các công ty từ Việt Nam muốn mở rộng sang thị trường Mỹ một cách hiệu quả nhất và đỡ tốn chi phí nhất. Nếu các anh chị có cần liên lạc gì với anh Tron Phạm thì cứ vui lòng liên lạc với VVI. Chúng ta sẽ có kết nối và những câu hỏi chuyên sâu hơn, hoặc những one to one thì anh Tron Phạm cũng có thể add cái contact của anh trên cái message để mọi người có thể chủ động liên lạc được với anh. Dạ, cảm ơn mọi người đã theo dõi buổi chia sẻ ngày hôm nay, và xin nhường lại cái chương trình, điều phối chương trình cho anh Hải ạ. Cảm ơn các anh chị.